Good afternoon and welcome to the September 3rd regular meeting of council. The City of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory upon which we gather with gratitude. I would just like to make, before we get into the consent agenda, we have a light agenda here, so I'm going to two things here. I just want to make two announcements to recognize the incredible support we had regarding the Wesley Ridge fire that happened this last summer. The support from our emergency management team and our firefighters was exemplary and saved a huge amount of buildings from destruction and possible lives as well. And so my hat's off to them and full credit to all of our staff that pulled together during very difficult times, and in particular our emergency management team, which was a big help, as well as the RDN, and full credit to CAO Homes anyways for managing the whole situation and keeping the public informed what was going on. So I want to acknowledge the excellent job of that, and thank you so much for the benefit of our community. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we experienced in our the first time in our history of the City of Parksville, our community park was at capacity numerous times, not just the exceptional time, but almost every time, every weekend in the summer. And I can only say what a great feeling of joy and gratitude it brought for me. Many times I was down there at different events that I was attending, and it was just an amazing place to be, with everything going from one end, from the labyrinth all the way through to the sports fields and the volleyball and the pickleballers and the soccer players and everything. It was just amazing hive of activity, and the people that are coming for the picnics with their families, and the seniors were there sitting in the shade. We had a little bit of warm days, sitting in the tree arboretum that we had here, enjoying the cooler temperatures. It was just a great place to be. Oh, and the kite people were there one time with the huge, amazing kites. It was just so good. And people were at the labyrinth on it, and people were swimming at the beach. I can't believe it. This place is so good. I'm going to move here. You know, it was, but my hat's off once again to the staff of the City of Parksville that made this happen, not only for creating the gardens and so forth and the upkeep of the park and all the maintenance. It ran, I'm going to say seamlessly, because we didn't have the garbage was overflowing and so forth. We dealt with things properly, and we learned a lot from the past, and the moving of the Beach Fest sand sculpting down to the behind the volleyball courts there was a great move, and the staff got it done in time, and they're thrilled with it, as well as the tourists and visitors alike were thrilled with it as well. So, as well as our coordination of all the events, you know, from our coordination staff as well, and our communication people, made it a great place to be all summer long. And our staff worked so hard to make it happen. So my hat's off to the City of Parksville staff that made this happen, because although we did, we created the policies to make sure that all these events and so forth were going to happen, and created the facilities. They're the ones that made it work. And so I'm very supportive of that. And the amount of comments I've had when I'm in the park and when I'm in the coffee shops or wherever I'm at, is just like, your city's incredible. And it was so endearing to me to see that we did this, but it was with the support of the City Parksville staff. So good on everyone here that's involved in this, because that community park was just amazing. And it's going to continue to be even more amazing. So thank you everyone for that. Enough of the commercial. Council, today, and for the benefit of those people online, we have Councillor Gore is coming into us remotely. We've got a sound check, and we can hear him now. Councillor Fraz is unable to attend. So we're at quorum, so let's get this motor running. The consent agenda comes up first. The minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held July 21st, 2025, and the minutes of the council meeting held July 21st, 2025, and the approval of the council meeting agenda. To have a mover or seconder for the recommendation is noted. Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any errors, omissions, or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. The first report on the agenda is regarding the Committee of the Whole recommendations from the July 21st, 2025 meeting regarding the Transportation Master Plan. Do I have a move? I'll read it out for those that don't know what it is. Do I have a mover or seconder for the following recommendation? That the report from the Manager of Engineering dated July 9th, 2025, entitled Acceptance of Transportation Master Plan be received. Part 2, that Council accept the Transportation Master Plan in principle. Part 3, that Council defer final consideration of recommendation Transportation Master Plan projects to the 2026-2030 financial plan deliberations, which begin in fall 2025. I have a mover second for that. Councillor Gunns moved it and Councillor Martin has seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. The next report on the agenda is a follow-up report for the zoning amendment application at 1180 Resort Drive for the consideration of a zoning and development bylaw amendment. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation as noted? Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Martin.
Can we vote on these 3 recommendations separately, please? Or at least the first and the second, we can do it together, and the third one we can split.
We can do that. I'll take a mover and seconder for item 1, that the report from the Director of Community Planning and Building dated October 20th, 25, entitled Follow-up Report, Consideration of an Application for Zoning and Development Bylaw Amendment at 1180 Resort Drive, file 3360 PZ 058 be received. Moved or seconded for that. Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carries unanimous. Thank you. Could I move and a seconder for number 2, that comments collected by the applicant have submitted or submitted directly to the city in response to the applicant's public open house held on July 16th, 2025, be received for information and consideration. Moved by Councillor Wood, second by Councillor Beale. Any discussion? Discussion? Go ahead. Councillor Martin.
I wanted to comment that I was at the open house. There was quite a good turnout and was very impressed with what the future is looking like with that development. And they said, I was there later and they said they had a very good turnout from a lot of different people. So we're taking in consideration the comments that we were making.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, that's good to know. I'm pleased that you were able to attend, Councillor Martin. That's good for you. The applicant's comments are included in your package in your backgrounder. I believe that they had approximately 40 applicants or 40 participants check out their open house. You got a mover and seconder. Is that any other discussion? None? All those in favor? It carries unanimous. And then I'll look for a mover and seconder for part 3, that Council, in accordance with the bylaw section of the Council agenda, consider zoning and development amendment bylaw 2024 number 2000.155 for second reading and setting of a public hearing date. Okay, moved by Councillor Beale, second by Councillor Wood. Any discussion? Councillor Beale, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say that I continue to have some questions and concerned about the request for the increase of size for the, I believe it's meant to be a grocery store. But that being said, seeing that there will be a public hearing, I will support this.
Thank you. Councillor Gore. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon to yourself and the councillors. Previously, I have expressed concern about this scale of this grocery store that's being proposed here. I have a couple of questions to our staff, specifically to perhaps Mr. Russell. If we can clarify if that part of our city or that zone, is it designated as a commercial node in the OCP? Mr. Russell?
Mr. Russell, if you can comment, please.
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Gore, it's designated in the tourist commercial designation in the OCP.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. So that's where my concern comes from, Mr. Mayor. And you would remember this a few years back. This was an OCP amendment from a resort lands location to what it is now. And so that was a deviation from our official plan. And now second, within that zoning and the OCP amendment, now there's a further deviation from that plan to ask for a bigger grocery store. So that worries me. That worries me not just because it's a change in the plan, but I think the impact on our local businesses, which are already established, specifically to our downtown businesses, because of the size of this grocery store that's being proposed, is going to be huge. I was just going through our OCP actually, because I was concerned that there may be further direction on how we look at grocery stores perhaps. And within our OCP, there is a designation for a local grocery store. And there are specific policies when there's a grocery store of this size being proposed, that there will be a market impact assessment study that will be done. And the focus of that study should be the impact on our downtown businesses. So that was the reason why I wanted to split these recommendations, that I would like more than just a public hearing. I would like to see a market impact assessment on our businesses being done. So for that reason, I would like to defer it until such time that report is completed, and then I'll feel more comfortable moving it so the public has that information as well before moving it to that second reading at this time. And the reason I want to do that, not just to delay the project, Mr. Mayor and Council, because I think this will give us a couple of things. Within our strategic plan, we will have more public engagement. And in my opinion, the impact on our downtown core in terms of vibrancy can be significant if this goes through without that analysis. So for that reason, I'm not comfortable moving this forward without that information at this time. I look forward to some feedback from fellow council members and yourself.
Mr. Russell, can you address the issue of further public engagement to a impact study? Is that a normal thing to happen, or what's the process? What would that look like?
So if I may, Mayor and Council, if Council is receiving additional information, technical information, that information would need to be received before the public hearing.
Yes.
And there would also need to be a motion to probably to refer it back to staff with that direction.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Mayor, I'm happy to make that motion, and hopefully I'll get support from council, because I think this will significantly change not just the neighborhood, but I think the impact on the tourist area can be significant without that study being completed. So I would like to move exactly, I will just borrow all your words, Mr. Russell, that this second reading of this application be deferred until the completion of a market impact assessment.
Yeah, just 1 second. CAO Kaler, can you comment, please?
Yes, sorry to be flailing my arms there, but there's a motion on the floor at the moment. So Councillor Gore cannot put another motion on the floor just at this time.
Right. Thank you.
So if I may, then what is the appropriate time to defer this CAO?
CAO, go ahead.
If I may. So the motion on the floor right now is to consider second reading and advance to public hearing. So that motion would need to be either agreed. So a motion to defer is not debatable. It does need to be moved and seconded and voted on. If that were to happen, then the motion for second reading and public hearing would basically be deferred. And we would require some direction until when, like deferred for what purpose. So that's where I would suggest the wording that Councillor Gore has mentioned of an additional requirement for the applicant to prepare another study for council. So you'd have to basically vote on that as part of the deferral, and it does need a majority to carry.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Wood, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor, and through yourself to Councillor Gore. I think it's probably good if we have a little bit of discussion on this before you make a motion to defer, because there won't be any discussion on that. I would find it interesting to know how much a market impact study is going to cost and how long it will take. I certainly hear your concerns on the downtown businesses. We don't want to impact them. Ideally, there are new customers, say from Nanoose, that are, instead of going south, they're coming north to this grocery store. And so that's kind of my question, maybe through to staff, is how much do these market impact studies cost and how long will they take? Thanks.
CEO Kaler, if you would, please.
Thank you. If I may, we haven't had one done for a while, but we did have one done for the rezoning and OCP amendments where the current Quality Foods and other commercial activity is. It took several months, and I think that will really depend on the availability of consultants, which we are finding ourselves is a bit of a challenge to get folks for anything these days. But I would say it's probably going to be like, depending on the scope and scale and what it is council's looking for, 25,000 to 30,000 is probably a minimum to get any kind of analysis. It could be significantly more. Just as a quick maybe touch point, we asked for some support recently to try and get an RFP, or sorry, a grant application prepared, because we don't have a lot of staff capacity, and it was $20,000 for Colliers to do that for us. And that was probably 3 weeks work and not very much analysis required. So it could be a range, but I would say, you know, around that is kind of my best guess.
Yeah, I'll just weigh in here if I could here. Yeah, so Councillor Gore, I'm rather disappointed with this, because we have asked the applicant in this case to have a open house, which he did. And we had the turnout numbers and so forth. So we also had a copy of the comments. Most of the comments, I would say, out of 40 applicants, I think the comments are like 80% advised that they were so happy, they're so thrilled that there was going to be a grocery store in that area. And I've had much communication from our community saying, thank goodness, because it's right on Resort Drive. And Resort Drive is producing, as we know, because we're successful with our short-term rental agreement with the province, that we have a large amount of visitors that are not just here for the summertime. They're actually winterizing in Parksville as well, which is exactly what we hoped would happen. But this gives them a outlet where they can actually get their groceries without crossing the famous 2-lane bridge. And so this is going to be a huge reduction in traffic over our 2-lane famous bridge that we have. And it's going in the exact opposite about having, you know, your community amenities within walking distance of a great number of people. Including, we have a rather large development at the south side, Craig Bay development, has a number of individuals that are looking to it, and looking to our friends in the RDN, in Nanoose and so forth. They are also looking forward to having a grocery store as competition to in Nanoose, they only have one grocery store existing in their area. And so they're quite looking forward to the fact of maybe having some competition out there. So in this case, the applicant, I believe, has ticked off all the boxes and so forth, and recognized the fact that the size of the grocery store is pretty well dependent on what the market will demand. They're not going to build a grocery store larger than what it would be successful at. So in this particular case, this site, I know because I've been previous councils, has bounced around to various owners and various proposals in the past. And now this applicant has come along. And as you can see by the extent and the expertise of the site that's currently under construction, they are producing an amazing product, and with all underground parking, and have addressed so many questions we had, and not to mention they've eradicated the broom bush, which is deeply important to us all. So in this particular case, I think that they've done what they have to do to further request that they have to do a market assessment. I'm really not sure that that's valid in this particular case anymore, because if the zoning is there and they can put in a grocery store, then we can prohibit business if you feel that it's going to have a market impact on the existing stores. Competition is good. So I'm not in supportive of your delaying this or deferring it. Anyways, I'm further in approval of number 3 as it stands. Thank you. Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just a point of clarification in case anyone who's attending or listening in or following up, I don't think there's any question that there would or wouldn't be a grocery store. There is in fact allowance for a grocery store. I think the question is more about the size of it and so what is involved with that. There's no question that the zoning would allow for a neighborhood grocery store, and that presently I think the size would be, similar to Eat Fresh, or if people know that grocery store in town. So there would be things in place, and I certainly agree with you. It will be wonderful for people close to the area to be able to walk and so on and so forth. That would not be in question, even if there was a market analysis. I am concerned about the time that would take, given the demands on, on finding qualified people to conduct plans. So I like the idea of getting further information. I do understand that information could come forth before the public hearing, and perhaps people are concerned about the overall size and what impact they would have. They can also forward those concerns to council at or before the public hearing.
Thank you. Councillor Wood, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just a follow-up from my other question. I don't think spending $30,000 on this would be a wise way to spend taxpayer money. It would be interesting information, but at this point, I'd rather see us save the $30,000 and let the public hearing give us the feedback that we need to either proceed or not. Thanks.
I'm not sure that, Councillor Gore, were you suggesting that the developer or the applicant would pay for this market study? Or were you suggesting that our
Yes,
staff?
thank you, Mayor. I think there's confusion there for Councillor Wood. The city is not paying for an impact assessment study. This is for the applicant. It's part of their rezoning application that they pay for, not the taxpayers of Parksville. The reason for the size of the grocery store that's being proposed, like I mentioned previously, is bigger than what's allowed now. And I do see, like, the larger grocery stores, they have way more things in them, whether it's a pharmacy or a little bistro space or a coffee shop. So the impact on our downtown businesses is going to be profound, in my opinion. And for something like that to fit into a tourist commercial zone, I don't think personally it's appropriate for the neighborhood, the size that's being proposed and all the variances that are being asked for at this time. So that's why I was wanting, maybe perhaps we can get that impact assessment study done. And it will also be a guiding tool, I think, in the future as we open up our OCP. And if this part of our town develops further, we can look at how commercially perhaps, or not in the commercial areas, it should develop this part of the town. I see a lot of benefit to this rather than just pushing it aside and just pushing this development through, which a lot of it we are seeing already in Parksville. Thank you.
My comment would be that the impact assessment study would be difficult to do because, as Councillor Beal has pointed out, a grocery store is going in there. Just the size of the grocery store is all that you're saying is that you'd have to do an impact assessment study if it was a mega store as compared to just a typical grocery store. But you're just delaying the process for a grocery store that's going to happen regardless of size. And so by suggesting that the applicant will spend $20,000 or $30,000 to provide an impact assessment study is to me is unfair to the property owner, quite frankly. Councillor Martin, go ahead. You haven't spoken.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Couple of clarifications. First of all, when I went to the open house, they said the goal was 22 months. That was in July. So 20 months we have. got lots of time to do these, find out from the community. As you know, I'm on the Parksville Downtown Business Association. I will bring it up again at the meeting this month. We discussed this already. There's 5 grocery stores in Parksville. We don't need another big grocery store, but something is needed down there. There's going to be 200 parking stalls just on that development alone. So there'll be people walking over there to get groceries. I mean, it's in my opinion, we need something there. And as you know, I live in the region and we could use that, but that won't prevent us from coming downtown. I think the Downtown Business Association is a good way to find out what their thoughts are about this, and I can bring it up if you like. I haven't heard one word from them, not one,
Right.
up till now.
Councillor Grants.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. Thank you for the discussion. I guess I have a question through to staff, whether the applicant has made any changes to the proposal following comments from council and the public before it goes to public hearing.
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Grenz, I'm not aware of any specific changes to the proposal.
Okay, thank you. It's a tricky one to my mind because I guess I'll do a couple steps here. First step, impact assessment. I'm not sure I'm in favor of that. I think it's the impact of the square footage I don't see as having, whether it's the larger or smaller footprint, I don't think there's going to be a huge difference in impact. Just predicting the results of a $20,000 to $30,000 study there, because there will be a grocery store regardless. So it's a matter of how big it is. But I do recognize that this particular part of the community is intended for tourism, and council, when this was presented initially, brought forward a number of comments to the proponent around how to enhance this proposal for tourism, and that it would fit well into the area. I feel like maybe they're thinking a lot in terms of the fact that they're also building the 3 buildings right next door, and recognizing that right there will be customers for the retail piece of this, and they'll be able to walk right over to the grocery store there, whether it's a small or big one. But thinking more widely around what kind of this is going to be a significant new development in that part of Parksville, and so I think council did bring forward a number of thoughtful comments around that. Those aren't really the subject of the public hearing, so I'm not. But once the public hearing is done, there's not really opportunity for any more comments on that. So that's where I do kind of like the idea of where Councillor Gore is going, and maybe referring this back to staff just to give one last kick of the can before it goes to a public hearing as to the overall vision for the project. Again, I do recognize this has to do with the amendment for square footage, but not the overall vision. But what other opportunity will there be to address that? So that's where I do kind of like the idea of maybe delaying it a little bit just to make sure that the vision's aligned for that area.
Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Since I lit this fire, I'll just add a couple more comments here. With square footage, I agree with Councillor Gore, Councillor Grenz and Beal, who mentioned, yes, there will be a grocery store nonetheless. But the issue is, again, if a larger grocery store, typically you see multi-use, you see a little bistro, and there's other uses within a grocery store when it's larger. And that's the fear. It's not going to be just people buying groceries who could have gone to downtown, will rather prefer staying in that little zone. The other thing, I don't like blaming what happened in the past, but I think when this OCP amendment was done in 21 or 22, I forget, that yes, would have been an appropriate time to do that impact study. And it's in our OCP requirements. So it doesn't hurt what happened in the past, but we could learn. I think this study, in my opinion, would provide very insightful information for us going forward. So if council prefers to defer it, get more information, either way, I'll support it. But if it's moved forward as is now, I will not be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And picking up on Councillor Gren's comments, what I am wondering about is if in fact we go ahead with the setting of a public hearing date, how far down the road would that take place? Like, how soon would there be a public hearing? And is it possible to look at maybe setting that date a little bit farther in the future if it would be imminent otherwise?
Mr. Russell, could you comment, please?
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Beal, typically it'd be about 4 weeks. It would be the time from when the bylaw is given second reading to the setting of the public hearing. So usually 4 to 6 weeks, it would be the normal time. I can also point out, though, that the applicant themselves can speak at the public hearing also.
No, good. Does that answer your question, Councilor? Are you good? Follow ups? Follow up?
If-
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to
Sorry.
have a follow-up. So I guess I'm hoping if we look at 4 to 6 weeks, it could be
And-
maybe be the 6th week. Oh, Mr. Russell has a comment.
Sorry, it was just pointed out to me that it's in the resolution. It's set for the 6th, which would be 4 weeks roughly.
Oh, good.
Sorry, I missed that part.
It's in the
I did go
bylaw-
through
in the
everything.
bylaw
I
section.
It's
didn't
coming,
remember
yeah,
everything.
Coming up.
Okay, so it's actually set for the 6th of October? Oh, okay.
If I may, that's, council still has to consider that resolution.
Right.
So we currently have it proposed for consideration under the bylaw section for October 6th. And council can make an amendment or change that if it wishes, but that's our normal process, is that it would come back. We have a notification requirement for public hearings. And we have just staff prep. So typically we recommend what we think is the earliest opportunity to bring the report back for the public hearing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you. 2 questions. One, I would like to see that pushed out a little further, mostly given the fact that we have UBCM coming up in September, which just makes it a little more problematic to hear from residents and respond. That was one thing. But the other part is I am a little bit curious about an impact study. Would in fact an impact study delve into something like the advantage or disadvantage of the size of a particular commercial? Or is that something, as Councillor Grenz would say, that the square footage isn't necessarily going to even come up in an impact study?
If I may, I can't see if Blake.
Yeah,
waving
Taylor,
behind
go
me.
ahead.
So I think it really will depend on the direction from council. So what would happen is the applicant would have to do a scope of work for like an economist is usually what, or a retail economist. So they would do a scope of work outlining what council is actually asking them to analyze. And then if it's something like a nuance of size of store, they would have to do their best professional assessment of what that means, whether it's 1,000 square feet bigger or smaller. I would say if I was, and I started my degree in economics, so I can probably talk a little bit about it, and that it really, it's a science that's based on the inputs. So I think it would depend on, what metrics and what you're looking for as a council. It would be guesswork and it would be their opinion, educated opinion, be it may. But I think it would take some time to find a qualified person. There's only 1 or 2 people that I'm aware of that do it. We've hired those folks either through the region or ourselves in the past, and it could be months before they're able to get that information for the applicant. Normally for us, like it takes 6 to 8 months to get something from beginning to end. And so that would be my only, if I was the applicant, I'd be wondering where I would find that person with that specific expertise. And then I would really need some firm direction from council on what you want me to pay them to get for you. So I think that's worth having that discussion here, because we won't be able to give them your needs without a more fulsome understanding of what it is you want them to report back on.
Right, and thank you, CEO Kaler. And that's what we heard, is that if this goes through coming up in the bylaws number 3, anyways, it shows the date and we can push that out at that time. I would entertain, like suggested at that time.
Fine.
I agree. It's a good, get away from UBC.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, well,
Thank you. No, I really do appreciate that there's that opportunity. And I think that I would hope and assume that it's evident to everyone here that although this is this particular piece of property, which is a sizable piece of property and quite a development that's proposed and much of which has been approved, virtually across the street, across Arbutus, we've got where the Heritage Plaza is and that burned down, and that's going to be redeveloped at that time. So it's really about this whole corner, if you like, or this whole end of town, and what is that going to look like? And that's tough. That shouldn't all fall on this particular developer. But it's something very much to, I think, for all of us to keep in mind, and it still needs to have, as stated here, tourist commercial feel to it. So yeah, I'm going to be supporting moving to public hearing, but when the time comes, I'm going to want to push that date out a little bit if we can.
I was going to call the question. Are you something new, Councillor Wood?
Something new, Mayor. Yes, I'll offer something new, and I will support moving it away a week or two from UBCM as well. The market impact statement or analysis would have to take into account, what type of store is going in there, what they're going to be selling, new customers from the buildings that are going to be built, kind of products that might conflict with existing businesses. It seems like, to our CAO's comment that it is a bit of a crystal ball. You're kind of guessing how that business is going to do. And in the world of stores, there's no real guaranteed business. And so I think I'd rather just stick with the public hearing. And if Downtown Business Association businesses come out in voice against it, well, then we're going to take that into account. And if people who live, maybe nearby and they want a larger grocery store, we'll take that into account too. Thanks.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of the recommendation? Oh. For the public hearing? No, we have this one on the floor that we have to. Yeah. Do we have a mover and seconder for this already, CAO? Okay. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? That is opposed by Councillor Grans and Councillor Gore. Thank you. That carries. Thank you. The next report on the agenda is from the Director of Community Planning and Building Development Variance Permit Application at 360 Hearst Avenue West to consider proceeding with notice for development variance permit. Do I have a mover second for the recommendation as noted? Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It carries unanimous. Thank you, Council. The next report on the agenda is from the Director of Community Planning and Building, a development permit application at 360, 364, and 368 Moliette Street to consider issuance of a development permit. Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation as noted? Moved by Councillor Grens, seconded by Councillor Wood. Any discussion? Yeah. Councillor Gore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question to our staff, perhaps Mr. Russell again. Wasn't there a development permit application for this, Mr. Russell, like perhaps a few months back?
Mr. Russell, if you could comment, please.
There, if I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Gore, there wasn't a development permit for this particular building. There were for the other apartment building and townhouses that are already built on the property, but not for this particular building.
Sorry, a bit mistaken. I thought it did come to this council for this site specific. Can you perhaps talk to speak to about the impact on the green space behind this proposed development that buffers between the single family homes and this development? Would this be preserved? Would this be, I know there's lots of trees that have died out. So is there a plan to replant some new vegetation to have that buffer between the single family homes to protect their privacy?
If I may,
Mr. Russell, if you
Mayor,
could-
through to Councillor Gore.
Go ahead.
So this proposal will not be undertaking anything within the green, like there's no there's a no build area. And so the building is outside of that no build area. As part of a separate permit, so there was two tree permits that dealt with dead trees on the site. We are holding bonding. I don't have the specific number, but as part of their tree permit, they do have to replant, and we're holding bonding for that. And then in addition to that, there's the landscaping plan where we're holding where we will be holding landscaping security of approximately, I believe it's $76,000 as part of the landscaping.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. I have a couple other questions, Mr. Mayor, but those can wait if other council members want to weigh in first.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Gore. I'll get back to you. I would just like to comment for the benefit of the public. So this is phase 2 of the Bolinas Housing Project. So this is an affordable housing project that we have pursued with Bolinas Housing because they had phase 1, which was hugely successful. And this is phase 2 to create more affordable housing projects in Parksville. And they have taken this up, and they use the same architect as what we used on the first one, which produced an amazing facility, all under the affordable housing mandate. And as we know, we have various types of housing required in our area, and we've always tried to subscribe to a balanced form of housing in between market and affordable. It was identified that we needed more affordable housing projects to help out those that have the need, and this is coming forward. So I'm very much in favor of this permit, and I'm looking forward to them breaking ground on this. And so I would question any delay maybe coming up. But anyhow, I'm just saying it seems somewhat ludicrous to be throwing blocks in the way. So that's my thoughts. Go ahead, first-time speakers. Go ahead, Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not about to throw any blocks.
They're heavy, yeah.
But it is interesting when you go buy a piece of property and you try to imagine, how much can fit in an area and how would it impact that wet area and the trees. And so it's very reassuring to hear, because unfortunately the plans that we see in front of us, they tend to focus in on the exact drawings or the small, and you don't necessarily see the surrounding area in that. So yes, I too am looking forward to this moving forward, but I am also reassured not only just that we obviously always benefit from having green space, but also it does serve as somewhat of a buffer for the single family houses that are along Bernard Avenue. So thank you.
Councillor Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've had an association with Bolinas and very successful. And I believe looking at this is a real need for our community. I support this. I think it's excellent. And we look forward to it being built as soon as we can, because we need it.
Thank you,
For
Councillor
sure.
Martin.
Thank you.
Any other first-time speakers? No. Councillor Gore, go ahead. Follow up.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just happened to stumble upon a news article. I guess we provided a letter of support about a couple of years ago for this proposal. So that's what I was mistaken, I guess, about. Other question I have is a bit of a procedural question for our staff, Mr. Famous Blaine Russell again. I know this application asks for some variances as part of this DP. Typically, a variance application comes separately, so the neighbors, affected parties can provide some input. Why was this not why proper procedure of that sort was not followed in this case? Why are we not giving the neighbors an opportunity to provide some feedback on the asked variances, please?
Ms. Russell, go ahead, sir.
Mayor, if I may, through to Councillor Gore, I would disagree with the statement that proper procedures were not followed. As noted in the report, council has two options. Council can, if it so chooses, decide to do a separate development variance permit. And that is a second option. But through the authority of development permits, council may grant minor relaxations to different provisions of the zoning bylaw.
Thank you. And CAO, further comment, CAO Kaler, go ahead, sir, ma'am.
Thank you. I would also like to just mention that we have received direction from council and have formal policy that we expedite applications for affordable housing, especially where the affordable housing meets the non-market need. And so that would be consistent with combining these two. That's a recommendation. Council does have the option to have two separate processes that don't run parallel. But I believe we have ample direction from council to proceed in this manner.
Thank you. Follow up, Councillor Gore.
Yes, sorry. I will apologize if that's how it came across, but I was not saying that proper procedure was not followed, Mr. Russell. All I was saying was I think the consistency in the previous application we saw on not Moliette, on Hearst, that we are going for a variance, so for people to provide the feedback. That's what I was wondering, like, why are two different methods of approaching the variance is being followed. Speaking of non-market component, I think in the staff report, it talks about that the breakdown of those will be provided at a later stage. What stage would that be? To council, like the breakdown of what the non-market components of these housing units will be.
Certainly. Mayor, if I may, through to Councillor Gore.
Go ahead.
A couple things. So with respect, there will be a report in the future in order for affordable housing units to have a waiver to development cost charges, which they must deal with before they get their building permit, because at the time of building permit, development cost charges are due unless they've received a waiver. The only way to receive that waiver is through the city entering a housing agreement with the property owner, and that's done through the adoption of a housing agreement bylaw. And so I believe when their funding situation is known, which my understanding is it's actively being looked at by the province, that when those figures are known, then you'll be receiving a report to council with a housing agreement attached reflecting the number of units, and those units that are eligible under our waiver bylaw then automatically their floor area automatically becomes exempt from the DCC. So before we're able to issue the building permit, should they wish to get a waiver to those DCCs, that must all be sorted out in advance of that building permit being issued. And that's not just the city's DCC waivers, but also the regional district portion as well.
Any further comments? I call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. The next report on the agenda is for the Director of Community Planning and Building regarding a development permit application at 1084 Herringall Way to consider issuance of a development permit. I have a mover and seconder for this application. Moved by Councillor Beal, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any discussion? Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly intend to support this, but I'd also like to make the comment that it's really encouraging to see a local business doing as well and being as busy as they are down in the industrial park, and improvements to their parking area, I'm sure will be appreciated by everyone who uses that business and also who goes by. So yeah, hats off to them, because I understand that they are really quite busy, and yeah, I've used them in the past, especially as a principal at the school, but that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It carries unanimous. Thank you. The next report on the agenda is to the Director of Finance, the Strategic Priorities Fund Grant application. to request council's approval of Strategic Priorities Fund grant application and commitment for overall grant management. Do I have a mover or seconder for the recommendations? Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any discussion? Councillor Gore, did you have your hand up?
A negative, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, no, was that negative? Okay. Thank you. Not clear. I've got a mover and a seconder already in place. No further discussion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. The next report on the agenda is the Manager of Administration Services regarding 2025 fall grant and aid applications. To consider a license of occupation. What? Sorry. I've got a mix up on my report. For it says consider license of occupation agreement for a street patio. No, that was, let me get into, that's why I have a hard copy. Yeah, that's in my speaking notes here. Okay. So it is,
It's the fall grant and aid.
yes, strategic priorities. Fund grant applications.
Should I read I could read the
Yeah,
motion?
okay, here we go.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm jumping. We're good. Okay, so the strategic priorities fund grant application.
So
Okay.
it should be the next
That's what we
item.
just did. And then it's a minute.
G.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it on my hard copy here.
Item G.
I got strategic funds and then this one here. Yeah, 2025. Yeah, see, it's Sculling Street patio here. Okay. Just a breakdown on the background. So I'm going to do it off the hard copy here, Director of Finance. To request council's approval of strategic priorities fund grant application and commitment by.
That's the one we've already
Okay,
done with-
sorry.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're down here. Yes.
This one here.
This one,
Okay,
yes.
right. Thank you. I won't even turn on the laptop. That's just going to confuse things more. I need binoculars. Okay, let's start this again. The next report on the agenda is the Manager of Administrative Services, the 2025 Fall Grant and Aid Applications. As per page 131 and 133, the financial grant and aid applications from community groups and organizations. And so could I have a mover and seconder for the recommendations as noted? Moved by Councillor Wood, second by Councillor Martin. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. That was almost easy. Okay, so at this particular point, the number 2 of the recommendation was the mayor be appointed to review recommend the appointments, but the mayor will appoint at this time for the cycle, Councillor Grenz and Councillor Martin for the grant and aid applications for the fall session. Thank you. Okay. So then we have second reading and advance to public hearing, the zoning and development amendment bylaw 2025, number 2000.155. The text amendment to comprehensive development CD 29 Resort Drive, 1180 Resort Drive. Yes, I'm just looking to see, is this the one where we have the date on it here? Councillor Bailey? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to take them separately. Okay, so do I move or seconder for the recommendation that zoning and development amendment bylaw 2025 number 2000.155 be read a second time? I move a seconder for that. That would be Councillor Grenz and Councillor Beal. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Oh,
Did you have your hand up for discussion?
could you, thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Mayor.
go ahead. Sorry, Councillor. I looked up at Councillor Gore instead. Go ahead, Councillor Grenz.
Thank you. So I'm looking to move an amendment. I might do it to the second one, but as mentioned in my previous comments, I'd like to get the opportunity for an update from the proponent on responses to the public and the council's comments on the proposal. And so I guess maybe a question through to staff, whether that would be more appropriate to attach to as a request for a report or update from the proponent or delegation for the proponent prior to the public hearing being set. Would that be a amendment to add on the item 1 or 2?
Mr. Russell, if you could comment on the best process that would take.
Your Mayor, if I may, through to yourself and council and Councillor Grenz. Certainly if the public hearing is, more than 4 weeks away, so not October the 6th, there certainly would be an opportunity if it's deferred to a later date to provide an opportunity for the proponent to appear as a delegation, assuming they're available to do so. And as I said earlier, alternatively, they can appear at the public hearing itself to speak as well, but those are some options.
CEO Keller, go ahead.
Thank you. If I may, just for council's benefit, there are some dates for the next few council meetings that we thought might be helpful for your planning. So if council does not wish to proceed with the 6th, the next available date is October 20th, if we're doing regular council meeting days. And then after that, in November, we have the 3rd and the 17th. And so if council wished to request a delegation at a particular meeting, they could do so at some of those earlier meetings and then schedule the public hearing for a subsequent meeting. Or as Director Russell has mentioned, you could have them appear as a delegation at the public hearing or give them a chance to speak first. But that doesn't give you an opportunity to digest what they're saying. So my recommendation, just I think for your convenience, so you have an opportunity to perhaps meet with them or meet with staff, would be to do request a delegation from them either the 6th, the 20th of October, and then, or the November 3rd, and then they could have the public hearing set for the 17th, if that works. So those are the 3 regular council days. The other option is to schedule a special meeting, but I know that's really challenging for everyone's schedule.
What, CEO Keller, would it be possible to ask for a delegation on the October 6th meeting? If we then move the meeting, well, depending on council's wishes, to October 20th or the November dates instead. Would that work for you, Councillor Grenz?
Yeah, that'd be great. I think for the benefit of the public and my benefit, I'd love to see a response to some of the things that have come up in the discussions prior to it going to public hearing. Once the ball's rolling on public hearing, then public is responding to something that may not actually be what they're proposing any longer.
Okay.
Okay, then CEO, could we roll that into number 2 as part of the changing of the date?
That's what I was going to suggest. Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. So as far as the recommendation to receive, okay, to read second time. Okay, all those in favor? And those opposed? That's opposed by Councillor Gore. Thank you. And then that's I'm going to read out the easy part, and then I'm going to ask CAO to consider that zoning and development of amendment bylaw 2025 number 2000.155 be advanced to a public hearing to be held on Monday, October 20th, starting at 1 p.m. in the forum at the Parksville Civic and Technology Center located at 100 Jensen Avenue, East Parksville, BC, as well as a delegation appearance at the October 6th meeting for further discussion on was it amenities? Yeah, for further discussion on amenity consideration. Is that what you're looking for, Councillor Gore?
Yeah, and maybe what I would say is if we can ask for the date of the public hearing be set on October 20th, subject to the proponent appearing before council as a delegation on October 6th to present on the updated vision for the proposal.
Works for me. Does that work, CAO Keller?
If I may, yes. If council is comfortable with the timeline of having the delegation on the 6th, and then the next regular meeting would be the public hearing, then those dates work. If council wanted to have more time, then we do have November dates available. It's up to council though.
Perfect. Thank you. You're good. Okay, so, do I have a mover and seconder for this? No, we
I'll
don't.
move
Let's move and seconder, then we'll go to questions. Councillor Bill. Moved by Councillor, Grenz, seconded by Councillor Wood. Now discussion. Councillor, you moved it. Councillor Grenz, if you want to further comment.
Sure, maybe I'll just be a little bit more clear about the intent behind this. Is recognizing that the public hearing is the last chance for the public to weigh in on this. It's the last opportunity for us to listen to what the public's comments are on this. My preference would be, given the significance of this development, that we get it to the stage where it's as good as we can hope it to be before it's put before the public. And I think this will give the proponent an opportunity to respond to the comments that council, now they've had a time to do the open house and listen to the comments from council, and they'll be able to speak to what we've brought forward at that meeting and also what the public's brought forward. And from there, we'll be able to listen to the public's response on that. And I'm comfortable with the amount of time between those as well.
Fair enough. Thank you. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I have a couple of questions through to staff. One was a procedural question. I was just wondering, is what we're doing the correct way to do it? Or should we in fact have voted on this and then done it as an amendment? I mean, it's all right if you've got it sorted out at the end there.
If I may, so
CEO, go ahead.
the way we're doing it is fine. So when we put forward the items on the agenda, that's really a recommended motion until it's read, moved and seconded, and then debated. So we're okay with the way it's gone forward. And also I should remind council, if when we send the minutes to the next meeting, you're not comfortable with how we've captured that, there's always that opportunity to comment on it as well.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, follow up.
Thank you very much. I was hoping that was correct. And the other question I have, and again, I absolutely support what Councillor Grenz has shared here. And I suppose understanding and appreciating that setting a public hearing may be a bit more demanding for staff. I'm not sure. I know that they're regularly done, but nonetheless, we've now requested specific dates, but I'm also, if it's easier to have that second date, I forget which one it would be now, November 6th, November 3rd, and whether it be November 3rd or, I just think that we don't have to, it could be one date or another date, just a staff has recommended a particular date. So I would want to make this convenient for staff.
If I may,
CEO. Go
once the resolution is passed though from council for a particular date, that is pretty much the date. Because we have to do notice and we have to, this does in itself provide some notice to folks that are interested. So I would recommend that council pick the date that they want, that they prefer. And then if, for example, the applicant couldn't come, we would have to take it back to you to reschedule.
Follow up.
So I'm hearing from,
So, and with that in mind, I am a little concerned since we are requesting a delegation by the developer or representative. I'm just wondering if it would make more sense to give us a little bit more space between that and the date of the public hearing in the event that the person cannot come that particular date. But again, I seek some guidance from staff there.
if I may, it's really council's discretion. So at the moment, a couple of folks who have moved and seconded are proposing those dates. I think during the debate, you could discuss whether you want to amend to change that date. Like for us on a logistical side, that's sufficient time for us to do the procedural requirements that we have to do. So it's really council's discretion of what works best for you and what you're comfortable with in terms of the timing between, like basically the 2 weeks between the two regular scheduled meetings.
Thank you. Just to weigh in quickly here that I think it's good to go on the October 6th and then pick it up on the 20th on the public hearing, because it's still very fresh in our minds, realizing that on each one of these days, we have a few other things that'll be probably on our agenda as well. That's going to muddy the water. So I think it's good if we have a repetitive situation and it goes for the 20th. And as long as it's not an impediment to our staff, it would be probably an impediment if we said to move it up to an earlier date, but this is a later date, so that whatever work they're going to do, they're just going to delay it 2 weeks. So good. That Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would say the developer would be very pleased about this. I talked to him, what is going to go here, because we were looking at all the designs and everything, and he says it's up to the people. They have, little stores going in there and everything. It's not just a grocery store. So they will be very glad to hear what is being said. And if they can't come to the meeting on the 6th, everything's online. So they'll be able to see the comments between then and the 20th. They'll get a feel for it, but I think they'd be very keen to be here and be involved. That's what these are natural questions.
Right.
It's part of their deal. Yeah. Thank you.
And Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a suggestion, perhaps through you to council or staff, that rather than putting dates, would it be more appropriate to keep it open-ended, to have the proponent come present to council, and following that, we can set a date, rather than trying to, just with the busy schedule, either of the proponent or our staff, keep it very open-ended. Suggestion.
If I may,
CAO Kaler.
sorry to jump
Go
in there.
ahead, yeah.
At some point, council does have to set the date, whether you set
Yeah.
it today or some other time.
Yes.
That's really, again, your discretion.
Right.
I think there's benefits to the public knowing as far in advance as possible. That is, starting to become a busy time for folks that might leave. I don't know how many people leave anymore. I think everybody decides to stay here and keep their elbows up, but I think the longer you delay it, the tougher it is for folks that might be planning, year-end activities.
Thank you. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm quite happy with the dates that we have chosen. And I'd also like to add that given that October 6th was the first date that was put out there, I would imagine that the developer or representative has that date in mind for making some sort of a presentation, so has that spot free. And so I would really think that someone would be available to make a delegation. So I'm quite happy with these dates.
Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? Councillor Gore is opposed. Thank you. In the Water Service System Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 13.
Hello? Oh, there we go now.
Hi, you're
Okay.
good.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So what this is unfortunately an oversight when we brought this to Council in May as part of all of our bylaw amendments at that time. So this reflects the 6% increase to water rates that was approved by Council as part of our financial planning in the spring. And it just came to our attention recently. So our apologies for missing that in the first round, but this is essentially just to reflect that 6% increase in this section of the bylaw only. We got it in every other number, but somehow missed this one. So can take any questions on that if there are any, but it really is just to flow through what council approved in the spring.
Thank you for catching that in time anyways. It's great to have it proper when we get to the third reading. Thank you so much. Okay, for the recommendation of the Water Service System Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 132036 be read 3 times. I'd like a mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Martin, second by Councillor Grant. Any discussion? All those in favor? It carries unanimous. Thank you. Under bylaws, once again, we have 3 readings and final adoption regarding the Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 2000.153. Map amendment to small lot residential SLR1 at 130 Lee Avenue. Do I have a mover or seconder for the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any discussion? Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did note that I and others here did receive some correspondence regarding this proposal, and I do appreciate that this proposal really does integrate well into single-family homes and the character of the neighborhood. I recognize that it is a little bit higher than some of the neighboring houses, but nonetheless, the type of structure that one would expect in a residential neighborhood. So I absolutely want to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beal. Any further comments? All those in favor? It carries unanimous. Thank you. We have two notices of motion on the agenda. First one from Councillor Wood, the endorsement of Councillor Wood for a Federation of Canadian Municipalities FCM committee. This motion we're hearing today in lieu of notice, so council can vote on it at our regular meeting. Councillor Wood, would you like to read it out?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I don't think there's any need to read it out, but it's just asking for council's endorsement at no cost to the Parksville taxpayers for my name to be put forward for committees for FCM.
Thank you. Yes, it's we've been here before and we're here again. I only have one question, if I may. Number 4 of the recommendation for this one and the following one as well. It says for the period starting in June 2025. Is that a typo or are we retroactively approving you?
Yeah. It's Mayor, thank you for the question. It's somewhat retroactive to the beginning of that term. We couldn't put these motions forward during August, but technically the committee term starts in June and goes until actually beyond October 2026, depending on the outcome of municipal elections across BC. But just for the verbiage that FCM wanted, it would start retroactively June 2025 and end October 2026.
Well, I don't know if we want you to represent us in June and July, you know. So, yeah, I'm not sure how we can take that back. Time machine, please. I get that, and the time is significant is based on the upcoming elections in 26. Is that correct? Because it's not a 12-month period, which is usually kind of cut and dry. This is a June to October period. So.
Yeah. So what UBCM has done, and other organizations are looking at their term lengths as well, because sometimes a 1-year term, we serve a 4-year term here, but if it were a 1-year term that we serve here, you're just kind of getting your feet under you. So we serve a 4-year term at this table. And usually provincial and federal governments serve a 4-year term, but that can vary as well. But organizations are seeing that, hey, it's better to have a committee member serve for 2 years, or say the president of FCM or the president of UBCM. They're kind of looking at those bit longer term than 1 year, because you've only done, say, one convention or one kind of round of meetings throughout the year. So FCM has changed the terms for committee members and board members to be 2-year terms, and they're trying to get them in sync with the different provinces' municipal elections as well. And so that's what this is. They actually wanted the verbiage to be beyond the municipal election. And I said, hey, well, no one knows what's happening after the next municipal election. So are you guys okay with it ending when our municipal term here ends in BC? And then should we still need a committee member to fill out the rest of their term, we would come back with a new resolution after the upcoming municipal election in a little over a year. So that's the long and short of it. It technically began in June 2025, and it technically goes beyond October 2026, that 2-year term that they're trying to get committee members and board members to do at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities.
Right. So typically it would be a 24-month stint.
That's correct.
Yeah,
now
yeah,
it is, yes.
yeah.
And that's a new thing.
Yes, exactly. Okay, that's fine. It's just clarification is good. Thank you. Do I have a mover or a seconder for this? Moved by Councillor Grenz, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any further discussion?
I have a question, Mayor.
Councillor Martin has a question, and then to Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I would like is that, you're taking your time, and it's your time, I know, and it's already a lot of time, but it would really be appreciated. And I can't remember, I think there was a written report from the last one. the report and what is gained from that would be really appreciative. I know that there will be, every kind of community, but we're just a certain size. Is there meetings you go to those things that are for smaller communities, like small, medium, and large, or is it all in one place? You know what I'm saying? Like we have 14,000 people here, and what goes on here is quite different than what goes on with 1 million people, right?
Councillor Wood, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and through to Councillor Martin. Do you mean the board meetings and committee meetings, or do you mean the
What you learn.
conventions?
What you learn at the meeting, when you're at the committee meeting, that will be helpful for a smaller community like ours.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you kind of address different resolutions that are from cities of all sizes. And so some of them are for large metro,
Right.
Vancouver or Toronto, and some of them are for medium-sized cities such as ourselves. And some of them are for rural communities where they're trying to get, internet access or better water supplies with expensive infrastructure costs out in the rural communities. But so we're somewhere in the middle with our 14,000 population. And so not all of the resolutions fit our city size, but it's still really interesting to hear what more rural communities deal with, and also interesting to hear what a gigantic city like Vancouver with a $2.2 billion budget, they deal with as well. And so the committee level, you listen to the resolutions that are brought forward by committee members, and you discuss them just like we do here, and then you vote on them at the committee level, and then it gets passed up to the full board of all sizes of cities.
How often are these meetings?
There's about 4 throughout 1 year.
Oh.
And they're in different spots across the country.
Right.
Again, at no cost to the city of Parksville taxpayer. We can choose to go as committee members. And in this case, the UBCM Small Communities Travel Fund would pay for our travel. It really depends on if it fits into my schedule, if I feel like it's worth going to wherever it is, Saskatoon, for the committee meetings. But we can zoom into those as well if we want to, save taking money from that fund. But since we are a small community, then we qualify for that fund because we don't have budget to send counselors everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Gore, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. And congrats to both Councillor Granz and Wood for putting their name up. It's volunteers. They're not getting paid to do this. So thank you for taking this on. I do want to ask, perhaps you can remind me, the similar resolution was passed previously for both of you councillors to sit on the FCM committees?
We'll let Councillor Grants answer that for you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to Councillor Gore. Yes, so every new term requires a new resolution from the council that the committee member comes from, and it's also not. It's a necessary condition to become a committee member, but not a sufficient condition, which means that we still need to be approved by the FCM committee that approves committee members. So we'll see whether we get through this time, or Sean or I, Councillor Wood or I get through. But the fact that we've done it last year, I think will put us in an advantage in terms of getting picked again, because we do have a bit of experience to go with now. And I think, speaking for myself, I'll definitely have a better understanding of what's involved and what to do and how to make the most of being a member of these committees.
Thank you. If I may follow up, Mr. Mayor, one more thing. Since this term starts in June and we are 3 months past, can you let us know, like, why was there a 3 months delay? Like, I hope you didn't miss any important, meetings previously. And second part to my question is, since I'm sorry, I'm combining both of your resolutions here, but can you, just for the benefit of the council and the public, what committees did you serve on in your last term? So we are kind of following what's been going on. Thank you.
Councillor Grenz is going to reply to you on that one, Councillor Gore.
Sure. Through you to Councillor Gore. I forget the first question. Well, why the 3 months? It just so happens that that's the call for applications came out in August, and that's when we put the application. That's when I put my application in. But the term actually does sort of fall in a weird calendar there. So yeah, that's where the retroactive thing comes in. In terms of the committees, last time I was on the Environmental and Sustainability Committee and the Crime Prevention Committee.
And Councillor Wood, could you comment?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. And to Councillor Gore's question, we don't actually get to choose what committees we are on. I'm not sure who makes the decision beyond the president, but the president tries to get to know the committee members who apply and tries to put them on committees where their kind of background will serve the most. So I've served on the standing committee for community safety and crime prevention for 2 years in a row now. And I've also served on 2 other committees because there had been 2 terms in there. And one was the social economic development and the other was environmental issues and sustainable development. But there are 6 committees altogether for standing committees. And those committee members come from across the entire country. And so they're pretty interesting. They're all bilingual meetings. And so you hear from, a lot of East Coast, lots of people from Quebec, and they're all elected officials at the municipal level. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you so much. And I hope you will represent our city well and perhaps bring some Carney coins our way. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. We have a similar motion coming up now for Councillor Grenz regarding endorsement of Councillor Grenz for Federation of Canadian Municipalities Committee. Do I have a mover or seconder for the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Beal, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. That carries unanimous. I was pleased to see that you both voted for these motions. I'm pleased that you're being consistent here. Thank you. Do we have a notice of motion for the next meeting? Any notices? Nothing. Okay. We're going to move on to liaison reports. We'll now move on to liaison reports, and in the interest of efficiency, I would ask the council members please keep their updates concise. Looks like Councillor Martin is going to start the reports here. Go ahead,
Yes,
Councillor Martin.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. They're very short. The Parksville Museum, I'll just read what I have here. It's been a busy summer finishing off with Railway Days. It's been very successful. The event for Railway Days was August 24th, and they had 840 visitors, which was many more than they expected. They expected 500 to 600. So that was really something. There will be a cultural day kickoff on Saturday, September 20th. With the Mid-Island Artisans Collective Market there, plus live music without a net. So they have to be a good time. It's from 10 till 3 on the 20th. I'll make another reminder at the next council meeting. Also to remember that the grounds and facilities are rentable. Any organization can rent them. And they're open right now from Thursdays to Mondays from 10 to 5. So they're planning on a great fall season, all sorts of events coming up. So I think it's because we have more people coming to the island. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? Okay, Parksville Downtown Business Association. The events at Memorial Plaza attracted over 5,000 visits since June 1st. There were positive feedback from the residents for the place activations that were there on the Memorial Plaza. And on September 13th, there will be a Salish Coastal Music Festival event. And with the return of James Vickers Band and the DJ will be Connor, sorry. So that's it. And it'll be in the afternoon, goes on, yeah. So I think we've got a lot to be thankful for. It's the continuation of what's been happening the whole summer. As you mentioned.
Been a busy summer.
Very much.
And it continues.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Councillor
Yeah.
Martin. Councillor Beal, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I do have a couple of extras that aren't listed here, just a heads up there. With regards to the Arts Council, They had a very successful exhibit over the summer, which was in collaboration with MABRE, Mount Arrowsmith Biosphere Region, and many local artists. It was an amazing exhibit focusing on the 10 amazing places in the area. And now they have another amazing exhibit coming up, Trip the Light Fantastic, which is an all immersive art exhibit. So you'd literally be in it. So think of some of those ones about Imagine Van Gogh or Imagine there's another one, Picasso, maybe. No. Also, just offhand, they are looking for some chairs for their gallery when they have events and they have concerts. So if anybody knows any organization that is updating their chairs, they need about 100 chairs, and they're just putting the word out. They have many exhibits coming up, and just look online, whether it be concerts or other events, and space available. And also right next door is the PQ Beach fruit tree organization and the garden there. There is a lot of fruit available right now, as well as other things. And this is free to those who need it. Donations always welcome. So I was through there the other day, apples and pears. So again, have a little visit. And if you're hungry, there's something there to take away with you. I'd like to shift to the Beach Festival. The Beach Fest Society was a very successful summer. I think people have read in the local newspaper that that attendance was up. So the increase, the new location certainly didn't harm with regards to the sand sculptures. They were amazing, as well as the concerts in the park. I anticipate that there will be a follow-up debrief meeting coming up, and I will be attending that. Shifting to the Chamber of Commerce, the board chose not to meet over the latter part of the summer, but there will be a meeting coming up in September, later this month. And the Summer by the Sea market has been very busy. And also I noted reading that the visitor center has seen quite an increase in traffic going there. So that's encouraging for the Chamber. I would also like to speak briefly about Access Oceanside Association. They also took a break for meetings in the summer, but it's a very strong and vibrant group, and I look forward to attending meetings again there in the future. That actually links me back to the Oceanside Community Arts Council. They do have the McMillan Arts Center, and I know that improving access continues to be a main focus for that building and for their events. And finally, I would like to speak briefly about VRL, that's Vancouver Island Regional Library. Many people here may be aware that the library has had some challenges. Our particular branch has had some challenges over the summer due to some problems with the HVAC, that the building, the room, the library itself has become overheated on more than one occasion and needed to be closed. And I know that this was a real inconvenience for patrons of the library, and I certainly heard from some of them. I have been in communication with the executive director of the library, and they've been working on increased communication on the website. So if you do go to the website and have a look at the Parksville branch, there is some information there. And the recommendation is to phone after 10 o'clock in the morning to find out if the library is open. They've also got signs up suggesting that people do visit in the morning, and if the afternoon gets too hot, they will close. Now, there is a silver lining in that the piece for the HVAC, the missing piece that was repaired, I gather, or custom made, and that they're working on it right now, and that hopefully in the next week or so, that problem will be a problem no more. But it really has caused some inconvenience to people in the area. And yet people can go online to figure out what's going on. They can visit other branches. It's all one library, whether you're in Qualicum Beach or elsewhere up in Dashwood. And during this time, any holds or renew loans are being kept without a problem. So that's been extended. Yeah, so hopefully that problem will be a problem no more. But finally, on that note, that may have had a negative impact on it being available as a cooling space, which normally it is during extreme heat. So that if there's any questions about that, I'm all ears.
Councillor Martin, go ahead.
Sorry. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. I forgot to mention, on last Sunday, I think it was Councillor Wood and Beal and myself were at the International Overdose Awareness Day down in the park. And I was at the picnic shelter. It was on a national basis. You saw it on the news. And I did hear that we had a very good turnout compared to other communities, particularly on the island. So there was several hundred there. It was very well done. So I was there 4 o'clock on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further comments or events? Okay. Thank you for your reports, council. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation that pursuant to section 91 F, G, and I of the community charter of the council now proceed to a closed meeting to consider an item relating to law enforcement litigation and the receipt of advice subject to solicitor client privilege. I'm moving a seconder to go into in camera, moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favor? That carries. Thank you. Let's move into in camera, if we could, please.